So this John Moxley BCC story could be awesome, I think. Because AEW started with footage after Wrestle Dream with him and his crew. I tell you, they don't care about this World Championship. You saw Pat grab it and he just threw it into a car. Moxley then went on one of his speeches though and said that while he loves AEW, it is not the land of opportunity that it once was, and basically everybody has started to take it for granted. So if he's the guy that needs to change that, that's what he's gonna do. So, and this is just my guess, I think Jonathan is doing super horrible things, like trying to kill Bryan Danielson, because he wants to light a fire under the entire roster's ass to tell them, listen, you're all resting on your laurels, and that's not what we do here. I mean, Orange Cassidy, Daniel Garcia, Darby Allin, all of these guys have been focused on, and you can start dancing and doing a bunch of nothing, but where is that gonna get you? Well, it'll get you nowhere, because you're still where you were all those years ago, so maybe you need to step up. Moxley then finished all this by saying everyone works for me now. So I, for one, welcome our insect overlords. Seriously though, this could be brilliant, because it kind of feels like, in order, like I say, to get the younger talent all infused, John Moxley is going to do a bunch of things he doesn't want to do, but he understands that he has to do them. So there's probably nobody controlling him, and the greater good is the future and state of AEW. Now eventually this will have to be spelled out a little bit more straightforward, but the fact that I was even able to go on this booking tangent, well, it gets me excited, and that's the point. Also, hello, welcome to Ups and Downs. Rare that we get straight into the ups, but sometimes you just gotta do it. Let's go through Dynamite. Because Adam Cole then made his big return, or second big return. I tell you, sometimes people are so weird. Because look, wrestling has always been the master of telling absolutely mad stories, but you don't have to act all, oh, I don't understand here, because we all know the deal. Adam Cole versus MJF was meant to go off in a different direction, but then Adam went through a bunch of horrible injuries, which he's only just come back from, so now we're just trying to move the chess pieces in order to sort it out. And no, it's not ideal, and no, nobody wanted it to go this way, but that is what happened. We know this is what happened, so why are people acting so dumb on the internet? I mean, sometimes you just have to roll with the punches, and Cole even said, hey, Undisputed Kingdom, I don't need you right now, when he did address all his evil actions from 2022 and some of 2023. Because the way he sees it is that sometimes you have to fight bad with bad, or that two wrongs make a right. Don't listen to him, kids. It all comes down to the fact that Maxwell Jacob Friedman is somebody that you cannot trust, and Adam saw that from day one, and look how he's acting now. This is the real Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and nobody likes him because he sucks. That is why Adam went to the lengths he did, because Friedman is a phony, when he also said he had to have 2 surgeries to sort out his hair. And I was like, listen, can we just leave the bald things to one side? It really upsets me. Cole then called MJF nothing but a scared little boy, and even tied it into things that do happen on the internet, because he was all like, oh, you see MJF on that Twitter, that social media, acting like he doesn't care about all the barbs you throw at him, but trust me, he then goes to his hotel room and he cries. So given that he's nothing but a phony, Adam Cole is now worried the rest of the locker room is going to see the success he has had and try to copy him, but don't do that, there's a better way. He also thinks that everybody hates Maxwell. And I was like, why don't you tell us what you really think? He then called him out by name, and as per Wrestling Rule 14.8, MJF did arrive. Well, kinda, his music played, and instead he was on the big screen, so this was either live via satellite, or it was a video. He was drinking some wine though, and talking about how he is a millionaire, when he said, listen, I got to the top in wrestling, and what happened? Everybody tried to pull me back down, and I promised I'd never let that happen again. When I bumped into you, Adam Cole, I did trust you, and what did you do? You stabbed me in the back. I mean, that is true. So none of this is his fault, and it is on Cole's shoulders, and he has no interest in fighting him, so he's gonna leave Adam Cole hanging out in the void. And I was like, damn, it's an actual phantom zone. Cole then ignored all of this and said he's gonna hunt MJF down anyway, and once again, just to make it very clear, yes, we are retroactively trying to fit the pieces in, but we know the deal. Adam Cole was injured, and I tell you, I turn on my human gland here. I am just happy to see him back, because that guy has been through the ringer, and I just think it's tremendous he's good to go again. I mean, at least we didn't ignore it. At least we addressed the fact that at one point Adam Cole was the devil, so I actually thought this was all right. And like I say, it's wrestling, we need to figure this out, booking as best as it can. And that was barely an English sentence, but I'm giving it an up. Now you can go get mad. Also, on a side note, don't fight the fans. If they want to boo MJF and they want to cheer Adam Cole, sometimes just feed them some food. When Chris Jericho was being interviewed by Renee Paquette, he said, you know, I'm in the #1 movie in America right now. Which is true, he does have a cameo in Terrorizer 3. He also wants a rematch against Mark Briscoe because he thinks that Mark cheated at the pay-per-view. I don't know where he got that from. And also, if he does win the Ring of Honor World title, he will become a 2-time champion, just like Jay Briscoe. So he's doing it again. We then cut to Mark after this straight away, who said, well, you know what, Chris is very dumb, but given that he does keep running his mouth, I think next week they are gonna have a ladder match with this championship on the line. So that came out of nowhere. But once again, Mark better win. FTR then walked in, so they're back and said, hey man, we're gonna go whip the Learning Tree's ass. That's what they did. They headed to the ring for a match. Because they were going to be taking on Big Bill and Bryan Keith. And listen, it's awesome that Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler have returned. Because let's not forget, they've been at home trying to sort out the hurricane situation. On that note too, I do have a Cameo, the personalized video service. And throughout October, any money that I earn from there is going to go to one of these hurricane charities. So thank you to everybody who has supported. And if you would like to, just search for my name. Otherwise, Keith and Harwood started here as Nigel McGuinness on commentary was like, don't forget, Bryan Danielson's career is pretty much done for a while. I mean, maybe we will see him one day again, but we don't know. And I think that was very important to say. Get it into people's heads. Cash Wheeler and Big Bill then started to trade fists. This one, FTR was like, man, he's a giant. We're gonna have to use each other to try and stop this guy. Which did not work, because Bill just grabbed him and gave him some bombs of power. And he hit a boss man slam. They built to a mini hot tag for Dax, who once again tried to take Big Bill down, but he was like, no, I'm really tall. So Cash was like, fine, I'll take you out with a crossbody. They then tried for the Shat Machine, but that was never going to work when Bryan Keith was here, and he hit the Diamond Dust, and Bill hit the Big Boot. And damn it, they got a 1-2-ooh. Harwood broke this up at the last second. Wheeler then had enough and realized, you know what, we're gonna have to bring in the ring apron here because it is the hardest part of the ring. So they DDT'd Big Bill into that when they looked at Bryan Keith and they said, see ya, pal. They hit the Shatter Machine. That was basically it. 1, 2, 3. Now this is definitely going to tie into some direction because backstage we saw Doristico, Roosh, and the Beast Mortis watching on. And man, the Beast was wearing some pretty nice threads. That Mortos can dress. We then got a massive pop too, including me in my living room because the Outrunners are on Dynamite and they quite literally walked to the ring so they could do the Predator handshake with FTR. I kind of worried these two are gonna break up eventually, but I was just so happy that Floyd and Magnum and Turbo and everybody else got onto Dynamite because I think they're the best. And we have been talking about them for ages, so it makes me feel like a proud dad. That's a weird thing to say. I enjoyed all of this. Up. Renee was then chatting to the Acclaimed, and they said, isn't it great we beat the MXM collection at Wrestle Dream? Now we're gonna go to the gym, because we're body guys. Made me laugh. It meant Billy Gunn had to start the car, but this is when the Hurt Business or the Pain Clinic, or whatever you want to call them, walked in and said, oh hey Anthony Bones and Max Caster, maybe you need to start getting serious. Here's our card. Now, Bowens didn't seem to be interested, but Caster did put it in his pocket, so that's interesting. I'm just gonna tell you this. Shelton Benjamin and MVP at the moment are my absolute favorites. This gimmick just works. When we do have to get to our first down, maybe I'm an idiot, but I am confused. Because recently we did get that big promo from Chris Statlander where she explained why she did ditch Stokely Hathaway, and that's mostly because she needs to go after Mercedes Moné and win that TBS title. And then we had Mercedes Moné versus Queen Aminata, and I don't think anybody mentioned Chris once. So maybe I'm missing something, but this already feels so stop-start, and I don't think we should be doing that with Statlander, especially because she did have that big win at All Out. Her and Willow Nightingale had that crazy street fight, and we should be using that to build momentum. Or a house. So I just worry that we've missed the mark with that one, so I am gonna give it a down, but I'm more than happy to be proved wrong. When we did get to this match, I thought it was pretty damn good. Now we did make sure to use Camille because she was the I'm a wrestler outside the ring and therefore I will distract the wrestler in the ring. Here's the real deal. There was no jeopardy here because Mercedes was never going to lose. But this Queen Aminata is really good and we should do something with her. Aminata eventually got a fall-away slam. Once again, Camille saved Moné from a baseball slide. And this eventually ended up with Aminata going into Simba the Steel Steps because Mercedes doesn't care. The Queen was still able to come back and she hit her air raid crash and a Canadian destroyer for a 1-2-ooh, which is when it kind of reared its head again. I barely popped for that. Not in a bad way, but my brain just knew Monet is not gonna be defeated. Just wasn't the time. In fact, it would have been weirder if she hadn't have won. It was kind of strange too, because we didn't use Camille when it came to the finish. I thought she would do a big interference. But instead, Mercedes Moné kind of powered up. She hit the backstabber, she got the statement maker, or whatever we're calling it, and the Queen just had to tap out. What about her crown? So I'm not sure this meant much, but like I said, it was a fun match all the same. Never gonna get too mad about that. I mean, I watch wrestling to be entertained. When Private Party asked to talk to the Young Bucks. Now, Isaiah and Mark wanted another shot because they came so close. I was like, guys, come here. That is most definitely not how it works. You lost. Now, Matthew Jackson did make sure to say here, actually, you know what? You're not a bunch of mid-carders, even though we did say that at the pay-per-view, and you are a damn good tag team. But Nicholas was still like, even though we did just utter those words, that doesn't work for us, brother, which made me chuckle. No title shot for you. Now, this was all a big tease too, because Stokely Hathaway walked in afterwards and said, you guys have been here since the Obama administration, and you don't do anything. Also, we all know that Isaiah Cassidy is the star of the group, so maybe next time you lose, the tag team should break up. You're not going to believe this. I think Private Party agreed. Because they basically said if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But actually, we have an opportunity here. We should have Double P win and win and win and win and earn their way back to a title shot where they should become the tag team champions. And if you can rope in all the BCC stuff too, well, all the better for it. So I do think there is an opportunity here, and I'm going to keep everything crossed. Because if you can take a bunch of the OGs and light a fire under their ass, well, we've already talked about it. We cut to the Elite after this, and Jack Perry was here going, oh, it's a big old day, because we need to celebrate Kenny Omega's birthday. And I'm getting very excited. Lots of people are talking about Kenneth. I think he's going to be back soon. Please. They then revealed they bought him a birthday cake too. I kid you not. They spilt a bunch of fake intestines over it, because of course Kenny Omega almost died from diverticulitis. I kind of then called Kenneth a bitch, so pull it down. There's the bitch counter. As Perry went, man, I don't even care if you die, so we bring down the crime counter too. You can't say that. Now, I do like the fact we are teasing it, but I do have to give it a down. Even I, the biggest supporter of Goofy Wrestling, thought pouring a bunch of fake guts on a cake was absolutely ridiculous. And who would be offended by that? It was just a little bit too weird. Kind of flew over my bald head. I did tie into something really interesting because the Elite came to the ring for a match because they were taking on Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, and Kyle O'Reilly. But this match did not finish. Now, it was super fun to begin with, and Okada and Kyle O'Reilly carried on their fight from the pay-per-view because they kept throwing fisticuffs. And once again, we made sure to showcase Orange Cassidy here. I think he's lined for a big old push. We also got all the dives from the good guys, which is what you never do, even though it does rhyme, because the Elite were like, we don't like that, and they mounted a comeback. Orange was still able to use the Jacksons against each other when he tried to sunset flip Okada, who just flipped him off. And here's the problem with the Rainmaker. He is a very funny heel, but everybody just cheers for him anyway, so he's actually not a bad guy at all. Okada then got the air raid crash for a 1-2 as Rocky Romero flew in there, but he got tombstoned, and the commentators were like, oh, well, that's it. And obviously it wasn't it at all. The Bucks then hosted a super kick party because they liked doing that as Cassidy came in with the orange punch. But just as Matthew was going to come back with something, the Blackpool Combat Club were here. My gosh, they ran through everybody because they told you at the start of the show they are done with this nonsense. Now, the really important part here is that the Elite bailed and had a look on their face like, oh my gosh, a ghost is here. And Nigel McGuinness on commentary was really good. He was like, listen, I know they're EVPs, but why the hell would you want to get involved with this? You're probably going to die. Exhibit A, Bryan Danielson. Him and the Top Flight and a bunch of other good guys ran down as well. But Action Andretti tried to do a springboard off the ropes, and John Moxley just punched him. I felt like this encapsulated everything he hates about AEW. He's like, I'm here to kill some fools, and you're doing flips. No. The Dark Order also ran in, and when they passed the Elite, they were all like, why aren't you doing anything? But again, they kind of prove why they're not. They got wrecked too. We then have to add a 1 to the crime counter because we cut to Marina Shafir, who was just choking Alex Reynolds when John Moxley got a microphone again and said, why is nobody listening? Because everybody is now under attack, and if you don't like it, well, he doesn't care. It's just the cost of doing business, and yes, a bunch more baby faces ran out to the point the BBC did have to leg it. Not the BBC, the BCC. But once again, I think we're planting seeds here. I'm quite pumped. So we are going to need more context and move away from the mystery, but I'll double down on what I said earlier. I don't think there is anybody else involved here, and Jon Moxley has decided to do it for the greater good, which is the future of the company. It really does need to start bleeding throughout the whole show, which we kind of already did on this Dynamite, and I understand that it is like a meta storyline, but that's okay. It's 2024, up. Just good. We then saw a bunch more good guys yelling at the Elite in the back, including Private Party and Daniel Garcia, because they were like, you built this company, what are you doing? When Garcia and Private Party agreed to have each other's backs. So once again, we are starting to build. When we had what I think was my favorite part of the show, Shelton Benjamin made his in-ring debut. He was also taking on Lio Rush, and I think the reason I enjoyed it so much is that Shelton has done that thing that all the wrestlers do. He has been going so long that finally, we as a fan base went, wait a minute, this Benjamin guy is really good. He has never got the respect he deserves, so we should all cheer him like a legend, because that's what he is. Rush is also so much damn fun because he's so fast. We were doing this proper, well, you got the speed, but I've got the strength, and these two guys just had great chemistry. I could have watched them all day, all for the amount of time they were given for television. There was this amazing part at 1.2 when Rush had floored Shelton, and he went to the top rope, and Benjamin just went, nope, and he flew up there and suplexed him. Honestly, I thought Lio Rush was going to fall into another planet. So the pace of this thing was just ridiculous. And the German suplex that Benjamin gave him afterwards, honestly, you got to fight 8 minutes today and watch it. Eventually, Shelton was able to get the Flatliner 2 where he hit the T-bone suplex for the 1-2 ooh. And afterwards, MVP was in the ring. He stuffed a business card into Leo's pants, which is a bit weird, when he said on the microphone, hey, Swerve Strickland, don't forget what we said to you. Otherwise, we're waiting. We also sold Shelton Benjamin as a massive threat here too, and of course we know Bobby Lashley is coming, so I'm just in love with this storyline. It just works, and the kind of gravitas they all have, I am giving it a massive up, and you should probably throw Lio Rush into this group too. Somehow it's all just gonna work. This rules. We also saw Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana in the back, and Swerve was wearing a Mass Effect jacket, so he's the coolest guy ever, and he basically said, you know what, Shelton, I will fight you anywhere, anytime. I think they're doing it in 2 weeks. When I got confused again. What an idiot. The Don Callis family were having a press conference though, as all good families do, and in the ring was Don Callis with Lance Archer, which makes sense, we tied that up last week, and Brian Cage. I was like, wait a minute. When did Brian Cage join the Don Callis family? Now, I may be wrong here. Maybe I missed something, but I don't think I did. Now, I'm all for this because Cage is really good, but you could have turned this into a mini story that built over a few weeks, and that also would have made Don Callis' family feel a little bit more intimidating. It's not a big deal, but it does feel like a wasted opportunity. Down. I do think it's going to work out though, and Callis said, I'm just going to answer your questions because there's no real journalists in professional wrestling, and these two dudes are going after the tag team titles. I was like, yes, please. They've got man meat. And also, just for the people that say this all the time, I am not a journalist. I'm either a bored a-hole or a professional idiot. He then introduced Carl Fletcher and Takeshita because they've had an amazing week. Takeshita was like, I'm going to destroy everyone around the world. When it was time for Carl to explain his actions, because everyone's been asking him, why Fletcher, why? I was like, don't you steal my gimmick. That is half the issue though, because it's always about Will Ospreay, and he's totally bored of that. When he said, I'm still not going to give you an answer. So he's like every single wrestling bad guy from the last 20 years. It really doesn't matter though, because as long as we get there eventually, that is the secret source. And isn't Powerhouse Hobbs a part of the Don Callis family too? Please don't drop that, because when he is good to go again, my word, it'll be one of the best stables ever. And I am excited to see what we do here, because they do have the momentum again. There's that magic word. So let's make sure we carry it on. Give it in up. Renee was then interviewing world champion Mariah May. She basically insulted the entire women's division, because she ran down Willow Nightingale, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm, and said she still misses Mina Shirakawa because she wants to have her celebration, but she can't do it until she's back. AEW is now the place where people are scared of the glamour. That really rolls off the tongue. When Anna Jay walked in, and I guess she was upset, well, you didn't say a bad word about me, so they got into a scuffle. When Christopher Daniels tried to break them up, and Anna accidentally slapped him. Actually, fair play to Jay. Her reaction felt real, because she was super duper sorry. And while I am glad that we're going to do this match, once again, I was just a little disappointed, because Mariah May versus Toni Storm was one of the best stories AEW has ever told, because we invested time in it. And now for the second time, I think we're just going to do a random match based on a backstage skit. So I just think it takes away some of the impact that we had built up. And if you want world titles to feel important, well, just look what Jon Moxley is doing. So I think it's got to get her down. But Kat then carried on her busy evening because she was talking to Ricochet. And she said, "Do you think you focused too much on Will Ospreay at Wrestle Dream?" He was like, "No. What are you asking me that for?" He also wanted to point out that he never got pinned, although Takeshita did hit him harder than he'd ever been hit in his life. And given that he hasn't actually properly lost since he arrived in AEW, maybe Takeshita wants to meet him on a Collision show and they can talk it out. Good, because we should be doing more things on that show and we should try and build it up again. And that gives you a reason to tune in. Didn't mind that at all. When we saw the BCC committing more murder, because they were just wrecking everybody, crime counter. Eventually they zoomed off in a truck when Super John Silver ran after them. I was like, "John, you're a great man. I don't think you're going to be able to catch up with a truck." This then led to promos from Evil Uno and Top Flight though, and they basically said, "You're not allowed to do this, Blackpool Combat Club, so we are going to be the first guys to take you on." And I really like this because not only are they AEW OGs, but this can be like the Mortal Kombat leaderboard where you start off at the bottom and you work your way up to the top. The most important part is that it has to be like Poochie in the sense everybody always needs to be asking, well, what are the BCC doing right now? So yeah, we have a potential home run with this. We wait and see. When we got to our main event, which was indeed Jay White versus Christian Cage, and of course, Jay wanted to complete his revenge tour here, when he didn't realize he'd met someone who is way better at vengeance. I'm not talking about Batman. Now, Nick Wayne was pissed off, so he passed the chair to his fake dad early on. This when the Guns were like, no, and they took the weapon away. But at that point, the referee turned around, and he saw this, and he sent them to the back. I was like, that is ridiculous. The amount of times wrestling ignores it. It was quite funny though, because the Guns and Juice Robinson then grabbed Nick and dragged him to the back. And I was like, yeah, if this is real, that is what you do. The minute was now one-on-one, and at one point, Jay grabbed Christian's turtleneck and put it over his face and just started slamming him. And that was a nice touch as well, because Jay White has gone babyface, but he's still doing all his heel tactics. Good. Christian eventually got the Tornado DDT for a 1-2 when I think we may have had a mistiming issue, although I'm not sure, because Kip Sabian came out to make the distraction when Hangman Adam Page was here, but then they just sort of ran away again. And Hangman just fell on the floor like he'd been mummified, so maybe they went too early. Christian still fought his way back into this as well, and just as he was going for the spear, this is when Kip did run on the ring apron, which also allowed Jay White to apply the Blade Runner when Hangman was like, "Ha ha, I do have a reason to be here." He hit the buckshot lariat behind the referee's back, and bless this Cage. He didn't bother to hit his move of his own, and he pinned him for the 1-2-3. Page then instantly went back to his mummified position again, which was cracking me up. And Christian held his world contract above his head. What the hell is he going to do with that now, given that Jon Moxley is the champion? I kind of think he's going to lose it to Darby Allin. But I really like this because it does mean we can carry on the Jay White versus Adam Page feud, which I'm already enjoying. And seeing Christian get wins and just soak it up like he did something successful, well, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. It's getting it up. I also enjoyed the fact that Kip Sabian is still involved here because he deserves something. Well, I do have one final down. Maybe I've missed something here. But why was Hook not on this show? Because I really wanted to find out who did attack Daddy Taz. And here, I don't think anybody talked about it once. And maybe it's going to happen on Collision instead. But it kind of feels like a Dynamite deal to me. That's a down. But AEW does have something here because the overarching storyline with the Blackpool Combat Club could be really good. Now I want to see what's going to happen next week, and stuff is going to go down on Collision up. Now, of course, please do leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about Dynamite and this big old narrative. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen for my ups and downs for Wrestle Dream to get all of my opinions. But otherwise, my friends, take care. See you soon.